All right, y'all. What's up, good people? My name is QC. Welcome everybody to a special live nightly digital show. My favorite time of the year is here, and that's Super Wild Card Weekend. The NFL playoffs are kicking off this weekend. Got 6 matchups here in the AFC that I'm gonna break down. Who I think will move on, who I think will be going home. Can't wait to get into these matchups to break down these NFL playoffs here on Super Wild Card Weekend. And it kicks off right here and right now. Hey, what's up, good people? I'm QC. Welcome to a brand new Talking and Grubbing live stream. How's everybody doing on this Thursday? I hope everybody's doing good. I'm doing good. I know a lot of y'all are excited about these NFL playoffs kicking off this weekend, which is Super Wild Card Weekend. I'm definitely excited myself. I can't wait for these matchups to kick off. This is definitely going to be a great playoffs, and I cannot wait to watch them, do the live streams for them, which I will be live for all Super Wild Card games this weekend, and break down these matchups and break down all these matchups. Tomorrow night, I'll be doing the NFC for Super Wild Card Weekend, so y'all check that out. It'll be on at 8 o'clock. I'll be on live at 8 o'clock as well. This is definitely going to be fun. Right. Having some technical difficulties here with my Wi-Fi. My power went out for a minute yesterday, so I've been having some Wi-Fi issues. But yes, this AFC playoff bracket features some great matchups. First, you got 2 great quarterback stories. Also, you got a franchise icon returning home, trying to dethrone his former team and prevent a Super Bowl repeat. And you got a classic battle of 2 Lake Erie teams. So I'm here to break it all down. I was supposed to have a special guest, but unfortunately, I get some things came up with on their end. Which I understand, stuff happens. Right, making sure everything's together. But yes, this is gonna be I expect all these 3 matchups here this weekend to be some great matchups. Now I wouldn't expect anything less. It would definitely be disappointing if these matchups ended up being blowouts. Had to knock on wood there. But yep, these are going to be some great games, and I cannot wait to see them and break them all down. I want to know your thoughts in the chat. Which games are you most interested in seeing this weekend? Let me know. Me, of course, I'm definitely excited to see my Browns go against the Texans in Houston. But outside of that, I'm definitely excited to see the Dolphins and the Chiefs. Tyreek Hill's returning home to Arrowhead. And he's going to try to knock off his old team and the throne their plans for a repeat. So that's definitely going to be a fun matchup. We all know Tyreek Hill's still beloved there in KC. Of course, he helped them win a Super Bowl there. So he's always going to be a Kansas City Chiefs legend. But all right, I'm going to take a quick commercial break, and I'll be back to break down these matchups. So don't go away. If you're looking for a sports book that offers you multiple betting opportunities, BetUS is the one for you. They're celebrating their 30th anniversary as America's favorite sports book. They offer sports book, live betting, race book, and a lot more. Also, to celebrate their 30th anniversary, they're offering you 30 risk-free bets. Sign up with my link right now, and after you put down your first deposit, you'll get a 125% sign-up bonus. Just type in the promo code JOIN125. You'll have multiple opportunities to bet, more chances to win, and you get fair payouts with your winnings. BetUS, where the game begins. All right, I'm back, good people. My dude Go Caps, what's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for joining me. Okay, which games are you excited to see this weekend? It could be on the AFC side, the NFC side, or both. Let me know. All right, I'm about to get into my first matchup, and this is one definitely close to me, near and dear, and that's my Cleveland Browns, the 5th seed, going up against the AFC South champion Houston Texans, the 4th seed. Now, both of these teams have some great stories coming into the playoffs. The Cleveland Browns, they get into the playoffs despite the fact they had to start 5 different quarterbacks during the regular season. At first, Deshaun Watson was in and out of the lineup due to shoulder issues. Then, after the victory against the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore in November, comes to find out he has a torn ligament in his shoulder that requires season-ending surgery. Then they went to the rookie Dorian Thompson-Robinson, aka DTR. He was all right for a minute, but then against the Broncos, he suffered a concussion. Then later on December, he had to be placed on season-ending IR. Then they started PJ Walker, who won a couple of games for the Browns, including that major upset win against the San Francisco 49ers. And also he had the game-winning drive on the road against the Indianapolis Colts and nearly beat the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle if it wasn't for a game-turning interception. But then they knew that they weren't going to either not get to the playoffs or go deep in the playoffs without some great quarterback play. So out of all people, the Browns called the guy that has tormented the Browns for over a decade in Joe Flacco. Now, us Browns fans definitely know Flacco has definitely tormented us as a Baltimore Raven for the most part. And also, he beat the Browns last year as a New York Jet. So it's just ironic that now the guy that used to torment the Browns, they're asking to see if they can make a Super Bowl run with him. Now, Flacco, he's definitely been amazing ever since he's been called off the couch. He has over 1,300 passing yards, 13 touchdowns, but he has 8 interceptions, and he has a 61 completion rate. And he's definitely got some weapons, starting with All-Pro Amari Cooper. This is his second straight year with 1,000+ yard seasons. This season, he finished with over 1,200 yards, as well as 5 touchdowns. And he completed over 80 receptions. And David Njoku, aka the Chief, he's having a monster year as he's coming off the best year of his career, especially playing with Flacco. He finished with 882 yards. He also had 80+ receptions and 6 touchdowns. He probably would have had more if there was more competent quarterback play. But the Browns have definitely been one of the greatest stories of this NFL season, especially starting all these different QBs. And also with all the injuries they've sustained, especially the key players such as All-Pro running back Nick Chubb, who suffered a nasty injury in Week 2 against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh during a Monday Night Football game. Also, their all-pro O-lineman, Jack Conklin, he suffered a season-ending injury. And there's been a lot of season-ending injuries. There's also been guys who spent time on IR who have been injured. But the Browns have persevered, and they've gotten to this point. And also, definitely got to talk about the Browns defense. They went from one of the worst defenses in the NFL to a historically good defense that some people put on par with the 2015 Denver Broncos, even on par with the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. And that's all anchored by another great acquisition on the coaching staff by Jim Schwartz, who was the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles when they won the Super Bowl in 2017. And it's all anchored by number 95, Myles Garrett, who's definitely a bona fide contender for Defensive Player of the Year. Excuse me. Also, you also have some great pieces like the Darius Smith that's next to him in that, in that D line. Also, another great pickup in the offseason, Obo Okenronquo. A lot of us thought he would be lost to season-ending surgery, but he got a second opinion, and now he's back. Also, Dalvin Tomlinson, the defensive tackle, who they also picked up in the offseason. And also, the Browns have one of the best secondaries in the NFL that's anchored by All-Pro Denzel Ward, as well as the other corner, Greg Newsome and Martin Emerson, the second-year player. He's had a career year, and he definitely got snubbed for the Pro Bowl. Also, you definitely have some great safety play in the veteran Juan Thornhill, who's a two-time Super Bowl champ with the Chiefs. But also, Grant Delpy, who was on pace to have a Pro Bowl year. He ended up being sidelined by injury. He's been activated off of the IR. He won't go in this game this week, but he was definitely having a monster year. But guys and undrafted free agents such as D. Anthony Bell and Ronnie Hickman, they have both stepped up ever since Delpit has been out. So this is one of the best secondaries in the NFL. And this is the number one defense in the NFL. They definitely are top 10 in a lot of statistical categories, including being number one in yards allowed. Now, on the flip side for the Texans, man, C.J. Stroud, the former Ohio State Buckeye, he has been a beast in his rookie year, and he is the eyes-on favorite to win Offensive Player Rookie of the Year. He finished with over 4,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions. Yep, making sure I'm correct. And also, he did a tremendous job by completing 63% of his passes. Now, Tank Carter went down later in the season, but Nico Collins, ever since he's become the number one receiver, man, that dude has been a beast. And he can make any secondary's life pretty miserable if you don't watch out. He has definitely been balling with C.J. Stroud, and that's Stroud's number one target in the passing game. Also, the Texans, they made a pretty good pickup at tight end in Dalton Schultz, who was the tight end for the Dallas Cowboys for a few years. He was catching passes from Dak. Now he's catching passes from another guy in Texas, that's in Stroud. Now, Devin Singletary, he's also been balling out. Initially, Damian Pierce was the number one back, but after he came back from IR, Devin Singletary still continued to do his thing, and he has definitely balled out. He's finished with 898 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns. So Singletary's been doing his thing. Also, the Texans defense, they have definitely done their thing as well, starting with cats like Jonathan Grenard as well as Will Anderson. Those two dudes, they combined for a total of 19 sacks during the regular season. Also, the rookie corner, Derek Stingley, he's starting to come on as one of the best young corners in this NFL. He's definitely done his thing. And this Texas team has a great defensive line. They also has cats like Blake Cashman, the veteran Denzel Perryman, Christian Harris. So this Texan defense is not no joke. You know, in the last few weeks, they become a top 5 run defense. They still have their issues in the passing game, but if they're on their A game, they can get to the quarterback. They can definitely bully a lot of offensive lines. So if you're not careful, this Texans defense can definitely put their statement on the game. But this is also a battle between 2 Coach of the Year candidates. DeMeco Ryans of the Texans. He's definitely done a tremendous job coaching this team. He got them into the playoffs his first year, won the division where a lot of people expected them to only win maybe 5 games at the most. So you could definitely make an argument for him to be Coach of the Year. But on the flip side, you can make an argument for Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski, who a lot of people didn't expect much from the Browns either. Most people expected them to win either 5, 6, or 7 games at the most. And definitely a lot of people didn't expect the Browns to be at this point after Deshaun Watson went down, after Nick Chubb went down, and starting mostly 4 different quarterbacks. 9 times out of 10, that's definitely an end to your season right then and there. But definitely Kevin Stefanski deserves all the props in the world for keeping this team focused, together, in spite of all the injuries, and also plugging in different guys to step up. Whether they were on the practice squad, whether they were second string, or just people off the street. You know, in spite of all that, he has definitely done a good job with this team and definitely has them in a position to be a true bona fide Super Bowl contender this season with the team they have. So this is going to be a great game. You got the old Lion and Joe Flacco against the young Lion and CJ Stroud. Also, both teams have some pretty good receiving cores, as well as pretty good tight ends. So this is going to be a very great matchup. Who knows what may happen? It may come down to the wire. It may come down to overtime. But I definitely expect this to be a great matchup. Also, you have 2 great defenses that has a lot of talent that can get after the quarterback, that can also create turnovers. And that's definitely a concern with the Browns. As we all know, they've turned it over 37 times during the regular season. As I mentioned earlier, Flacco, ever since he's been here, he's thrown 8 interceptions. And the Texans, they haven't really turned the ball over too much at all. So it's going to be interesting how the turnover battle goes. But definitely the key is, if you're going to turn the ball over, make sure it's no more than once. Also, make sure it's not to the point where the other team can get short fields and score quickly. It's one thing you throw a pick, say, and it's right, and they get the ball, say, at the 15-yard line. But if they get it at the 50, 45, 40-yard line, then that's definitely trouble 9 times out of 10. But now I'm going to give my wild card for the wild card on each team. And I'm going to start with the Texans. My wild card in the wild card is going to be definitely Robert Woods. Now, Robert Woods, he's a veteran. He's played on multiple teams. He won a Super Bowl with the Rams a few years ago. I'm definitely going to be, that's going to be my wild card right there, because the Browns secondary are going to definitely do everything in their power to contain Collins. So Woods definitely may have to be an X factor here in this game. And he's definitely going to have to catch some passes in order to move the chains for this Texas offense, as well as to keep drives alive. Now, for the Browns, my wild card in the wild card is the Browns run game. Now, ever since Nick Chubb went down, was running back by committee with Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, and Pierre Strong. And within the last few weeks, with the exception of the Jets game on Thursday Night Football, the run game has had its struggles. They definitely got to get some type of run game going. I'm not asking them to go out all world and go for 200 some yards, but definitely have to be, excuse me, a run game everybody respects and everybody a run game that everyone is afraid of. If any of them, or maybe say a combination of Ford and Hunt, can definitely have a good day in the run game, that definitely spells success for the Browns. But you definitely got to get the run game going, because the Texans defense, they're going to start stacking 8, 9 in the box on you, daring you to run. So definitely find ways, definitely get the run game going, and also find creative ways to get the run game going. It doesn't have to be just running up the middle. You can do some jet sweeps or some screens. But this Browns game run game is definitely going to have to be a factor here in this game, because that definitely eats up clock. That also leads to long possessions, and you definitely want to have long possessions and win the time of possession. All right, so here's my prediction. Now, I don't do score predictions because, it could be all over the place and it could go either way. But I definitely expect this to be a pretty good game, and 9 times out of 10 be a close game. But I definitely think the Browns will win and pull it out. So that's my prediction. All right, good people. I'm going to take a quick pause. I'll be right back, and I'm going to break down Dolphins and Chiefs. All right, I'm back, good people. Now on to the next matchup, and that's the sixth-seeded Miami Dolphins going to Kansas City to visit the third-seeded Kansas City Chiefs, who are the AFC West champions. And this is a very major matchup because Tyreek Hill, who won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs back in 2019, is going back home to Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs as a Miami Dolphin. As we all know, a couple of seasons ago, Tyreek Hill wanted a new contract from the Chiefs, but they didn't want to obligate him, so they traded him away to Miami. As soon as he got to South Beach, the Dolphins gave him a sweet contract for $100+ million, and Tyreek Hill is definitely paid dividends on that contract as he's still the cheetah, and he had an awesome regular season. He had almost 1,800 yards and 13 touchdowns, and that's thanks to his quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, who had a pretty good year with over 4,000 passing yards, 29 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions, while having a a 66% completion rating. That's definitely good. But also, they definitely have weapons on that offense. Now, Jalen Waddle, he's been sidelined the last few weeks with an injury. He should be back for this game. He had over 1,000 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. Also, Raheem Mostert, their bell cow running back, he's been sidelined by injuries as well. But Devin Anche has done good in his absence. He finished with 800 yards as well as 8 touchdowns. So this Dolphins team is definitely loaded offensively. Definitely a good job by Mike McDaniel, who has that off from, my apologies for that commercial, offensive pedigree from his days in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan. But the Dolphins, they also have some pretty good pieces on defense as well, who can get after the quarterback and create turnovers. And that's anchored by the defensive end Christian Wilkins, also the veteran linebacker Emmanuel Agba, who's also an ex-Kansas City Chiefs. Let me just make sure about that. If we don't want to give out misinformation. Yep, Emmanuel Agba, another former Chief, who also was on that Super Bowl team with Tyreek Hill in 2019. He's a pretty nice piece. But definitely can't forget about that secondary that features All-Pro Jalen Ramsey. Now, Xavier Howard, he's been out, but Eli Apple, he's been pretty solid in his place. Also, you got the veteran linebacker, Melvin Ingram. So this team definitely has some nice pieces on defense that can get after the quarterback, can create turnovers, and they're aggressive, and they're fast, and they're always looking to jump on the ball. Now, on the flip side, we all know the Chiefs have been up and down during the regular season. They definitely had their struggles on offense. Pat Mahomes still turned in a Mahomes-type season. I mean, some people may say is his lowest season to date by his standards. He finished with over 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, while having a 65% completion rating. Also, Travis Kelce's numbers have been down this year. He finished with 984 yards and 5 touchdowns, But they also do have a pretty nice running back in Isaiah Pacheco, who definitely was a beast last year in the playoffs and definitely one of the main factors in their Super Bowl run. He finished with 935 rushing yards as well as 7 touchdowns. But the Chiefs' issues have been at wide receiver. They lead the NFL in drops, and there have been a lot of drops during the regular season. It seems like this Chiefs receiving corps can't get on track now. Rashee Rice, he's definitely had some nice games in the last few weeks. Kadarius Toney, he's definitely has had his issues as well, especially a few weeks ago when he was called for an offsides penalty in the final seconds of the game against the Bills at home. So this wide receiving group definitely has its questions. They have a lot of questions to answer here during the playoffs. Can they step up? Can they be counted on? Can they catch the passes from Mahomes? But this Chiefs team is anchored by a real good defense, starting with the veteran defensive end, All-Pro Chris Jones. Also, you have dudes like Willie Gay, Nick Bolton, Derek Nottie. He's definitely come on and paid dividends for the Chiefs. They also have a pretty nice secondary that's anchored by the safety Justin Reed. They have a good corner in Trent McDuffie, and this defense definitely can get pressure on the quarterback. They can force turnovers. You know, they're always aggressive. They're always definitely looking for opportunities to get turnovers, to get it back to Pat Mahomes. Steve Spagnuolo, he's one of the best defensive coordinators to ever do it. Of course, prior to being with the Chiefs, he won a Super Bowl with the Giants in 2007, where he was the defensive coordinator there with Michael Strahan, Justin Tuck, Ozzie Umenyiora, and all those dudes. So a Steve Spagnuolo defense is always going to be aggressive, opportunistic, hungry, always looking to create turnovers any way in which way they can. And they have definitely kept the Chiefs in a lot of games this season, because if it wasn't for them, some games the Chiefs would have been blown out in. But this is definitely going to be a great game. You know, I can't wait to see how the Chiefs fans will receive Tyreek Hill now that he's on the other team, especially he's on the team that's trying to eliminate them and stop them from having a Super Bowl repeat. Excuse me. So that's going to be interesting. And also, you know, I might count how many shots they show of Taylor Swift up in the skybox. But this is going to be a pretty good game. It's going to be a very fun game as well. So let me give you my wild card for the wild card, starting with the Dolphins. My wild card for the wild card is going to be definitely going to be Devon Achane. I hope I said his name right. If I didn't, I apologize, good people. He's definitely going to have to keep it up in the run game like he's been the last few weeks, stepping up for Mostert. Whether Mostert is coming back for this game or not, he still has to definitely be a factor in the run game, especially if he's going to be the second back, because that's going to take a lot of, edge and pressure off of Mostert, and that gives him a lot of time to shine. Also, that gives Achane a chance to shine here on the big stage. So that's going to be my wild card. On the flip side, my wild card for the Chiefs is the Chiefs receiving core. You know, can guys like a Mercedes Scantling step up? Can a Kadarius Toney be a factor and have a good game? Or can Rice step up? That's my wild card right there. Because, like I just mentioned, the Chiefs, they led the NFL in drops during the regular season. They've had a lot of drops and a lot of big moments this year that could have won them games, or at least gave them a chance to win. Can they step up and be counted on when needed? Can they deliver the goods? Can they definitely get hold of the rock once Mahomes throws it to them? You know, that's the main question. That's the main issue here with the Chiefs. Can you trust their wide receiving core? We know what Travis Kelce's going to do. We even know what Pacheco's going to do, but we do not know what this Chiefs wide receiving core is going to do. You know, are they going to step up, or are they going to fold like a cheap lawn chair in July? Definitely going to see. Now, here's my prediction. Definitely expect this to be a great game. You got two great quarterbacks in Mahomes and Tua. You definitely got some high-power offenses between these two teams. Also, you got two great offensive minds in Andy Reid and Mike McDaniel. So definitely interested to see the chess match between those two and how they're going to execute their game plans to put their teams in great position to advance. Now, I've gone back and forth with this game. You know, this is the first time in Pat Mahomes' career he's not going to be a 1 seed. He's a 3rd seed. And this is only his second time playing on Super Wild Card Weekend. Now, of course, he played a couple of years ago against the Steelers, but still, at least for the most part, still had home field advantage. And also, you have the Dolphins, a team that definitely wants to dethrone the Chiefs. You know, Tyreek Hill, he wants to prove a point to the Chiefs that they made a mistake for letting him go, because he's looking at, hey, y'all have had y'all struggles in the wide receiving core since I left. Now, yeah, granted, they won the Super Bowl last year without him, but you still had some, a little bit of a at least competent receiving core last year than you do this year. So Tyreek Hill's definitely going to want to prove a point by sending the Chiefs home for the year. So I think the Dolphins are going to go in the Arrowhead and pull the upset, because I definitely trust their offense a little bit more than I do the Chiefs right now. So I'm going with the Dolphins. All right, good people. I'm going to take a quick pause. I'll be right back and give my final prediction. Well, not my final prediction, but I'm going to break down the last AFC matchup between the Steelers and the Bills. So don't go away. If you're looking for a sports book that offers you multiple betting opportunities, BetUS is the one for you. They're celebrating their 30th anniversary as America's favorite sports book. They offer sports books, live betting, race book, and a lot more. Also, to celebrate their 30th anniversary, they're offering you 30 risk-free bets. Sign up with my link right now, and after you put down your first deposit, you'll get 125% sign-up bonus. Just type in the promo code JOIN125. You'll have multiple opportunities to bet, more chances to win, and you get fair payouts with your winnings. BetUS, where the game begins. All right, I'm back, good people. Sorry about that. Had a little technical issue. See a couple people in the chat. What's up, Walsh? You said Texans took out my Colts. I'm rooting for old man Flacco and the Browns to take them out. Okay, well, greatly appreciate that. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. What's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for joining me. Y'all check out his channel. He does a good job with the sports highlights. All right. All right, for the last matchup in the AFC for Super Wild Card Weekend, you got the Lake Erie battle between the 7-seeded Steelers, Pittsburgh Steelers, going against the number 2 seeded Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. Now, the Steelers, they definitely got off to a nice start, but then kind of wilted down the stretch, but then went on a nice winning streak and got into the playoffs. Now, on the flip side, the Buffalo Bills, at one point, they were 6-6, but then they got hot. They came back all the way, they rallied back from being down to the Dolphins in the AFC East, and they ended up claiming the AFC East by beating the Dolphins last week on the road in Miami, and now they're here as the 2 seed. So both these teams definitely have fought their way into these playoffs, starting with the Steelers. They definitely got some real good quarterback play from Mason Rudolph down the stretch, especially in the last 3 games. He had 719 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 71 QBR rating, and completing 90% of his passes. Well, complete 63% of his passes. My apologies. But yep, Mason Rudolph definitely did his thing down the stretch. Also, Najee Harris, he definitely had definitely turned in some great performances in the last few games. He finished with over 1,000 rushing yards as well as 8 touchdowns. Also, can't forget about George Pickens. He had a pretty good season. He finished with a little over 1,100 yards and 5 touchdowns. But the Steelers definitely stepped up defensively. Now, they're not going to have TJ Watt in this game due to the fact he injured his leg against the Baltimore Ravens last week. But, of course, they still got a lot of talent on that defensive line that's anchored by dudes such as Cameron Hayward, as well as Alex Highsmith, but also they have the veteran Larry Ogunjobi, former Brown, also Minka Fitzpatrick, and they got a young up-and-coming corner in Joey Porter Jr. So the Steelers, they definitely have a nice secondary. Also, can't forget about the veteran cornerback Patrick Peterson. And we all know the Steelers are definitely known for their defense. So we all know how aggressive they are. They love the blitz. They don't call them Blitzburg for nothing. They love to get after the QB. They love to get turnovers. So they can definitely give the ball back to their offense and give them opportunities to score. But it's going to be very interesting to see how the Steelers defense functions without their leader. Definitely going to be very interesting to see. But on the flip side, for the Bills, of course, Josh Allen has had a pretty good season. He finished with over 4,000 throwing yards, 29 touchdowns, but he had 18 interceptions. He also completed 63% of his passes. He also had 233 rushing yards. Oh, excuse me, my bad. We also know Josh Allen can make plays with his legs as well. But they definitely found a running back during the season in James Cook, as he had a great year. Now, yeah, he only had 2 rushing touchdowns, but still, he still finished with over 1,100 yards, and it seemed like every time he got the ball, that man was off like thunder chasing lightning. And of course, we all know they have Stephon Diggs, who's one of the best wide receivers in the game. He finished with over 1,100 receiving yards, as well as 8 touchdowns. Also, they have another nice weapon on offense. Excuse me. And the tight end wide receiver Khalil Shakir, and as well as the tight end Dalton Kincaid. And the Bills, they definitely have a pretty good defense as well. It's anchored by the defensive end Greg Rosario. Also, can't forget about the D tackle Ed Oliver, the veteran defensive end Leonard Floyd. Of course, you got Von Miller. You got a pretty good secondary that was definitely improved by the trade of veteran quarterback Rasul Douglas, as they acquired him from the Packers in the offseason. They also have a real good safety in Jordan Poyer, as well as Micah Hyde. So this is definitely going to be a great matchup here between these two teams. Both these teams have great defenses. They love to get after the QB. They love to create turnovers. Now, the Steelers, as well as Mason Rudolph has played, they do have their limitations offensively. Mason Rudolph can definitely throw a pick every now and then. But Najee Harris, he's definitely improved in the run game. And also, the Steelers offense has improved as a whole after they fired Matt Canada back in November as their offensive coordinator. So the Steelers offense in the last few weeks has improved. But we all know the Bills, they're one of the best offenses in the game. You know, you got one of the top 10 QBs in the NFL in Allen. Like I said, you got 2 great defenses. They are very talented, very well skilled, very well coached, and are very opportunistic, and they are some ball hogs. So definitely expect this to be a very smash mouth physical game, because these teams are definitely similar to each other. Only difference is the Bills, they have the advantage at QB, but both teams can definitely, take the rock and run with it pretty well. They got some good receivers, some guys that they can get that ball to if need be. So, and also you got 2 great coaches in Sean McDermott and Mike Tomlin. And I'm definitely interested to see the chess match between them, to see what buttons they're going to push and what game plan they're going to execute to put their teams in great position to advance. Now, here's my wild card. And the wild card for the Steelers. My wild card is Pat Freiermuth, the tight end. Now, Freiermuth, he's had a pretty nice season, but he's definitely gonna have to show up here in this playoffs for Mason Rudolph to definitely, keep the Bills defense honest, also to help keep drives alive and also move the chains. Also, I got another wild card for the Steelers, and that's the second running back, Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren, he's definitely going to have to find ways to step up here to keep drives alive, also take the pressure as well as the stress off of Harris. Also, Warren not only can run the ball, he can also catch the ball too in the backfield and take off for some big yards. So those two are definitely going to be major factors, major wild cards here in this wild card game. Now, on the flip side for the Bills, my wild card in the wild card is the other tight end, Dawson Knox. Definitely want to see what he can do because the attention is all going to be on dudes like Shakir as well as the starting tight end, Kincaid. So there's going to be times that Allen's going to have to find Knox and also Gabe Davis. That's another wild card for the wild card, as they're going to be focusing on containing Diggs. These two, they've got to definitely step up and be, the extra receivers, and also got to catch the ball when Allen throws it to them. So that way you can take a lot of stress and heat off of dudes like Diggs, Shakir, and Kincaid. So those are my wild cards for the wild card. Now on to my prediction. I know the weather in Buffalo, they're saying it's going to be some snowstorm. There's some snowstorms hitting their way. So I definitely expect this to be an old school, grind out, smash mouth, Lake Erie football, AFC playoff, just AFC playoff football at its finest, especially on the shores of Lake Erie. I mean, there's going to be some passing, but both quarterbacks are going to definitely, pick their passes when necessary. They're just not going to be slinging it and throwing it all over the place in that type of cold weather. So I expect this to be a physical game, a grind out game, and whoever can impose their will and their physicality on the other team definitely has a great chance of winning this game. So I expect this game to be very close. It may come down to the wire. It might even come down to overtime. But I definitely think the Bills will pull it out, will find a way to pull it out and move on to the divisional round. All right. Anyways, I want to thank all y'all for joining me for my Super Wild Card Weekend preview for the AFC. Tomorrow night, I'll be on at 8 o'clock to break down all the NFC matchups in that playoff bracket, give you my predictions, give you who I think are going to be the wild card or wild cards for Super Wild Card Weekend in order for their teams to advance. Whether you tuned in on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, I just appreciate all y'all hanging out with me for a while. And I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll be live for Super Wild Card Weekend starting Saturday afternoon. I'll be on live at 3:30 and be live all weekend for all 6 games. So until then, y'all have a good one. Love y'all to life. Salute. Y'all be safe. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy your night. I'm out. See y'all tomorrow.